minors, the breakout stars,
early on in day 3 of the draft, the Pirates called,
the wild moments, and the prospects you need to know about.
A sub-3 ERA in both single and double A.
This is Minor League Weekly, your inside look at the future of All right, our first real taste of breaking news right before a live podcast. We've had some things happen same day, but Brendan Donovan out the door as a part of a 3-team deal that's still kind of taking place in front of our very eyes right now. This is episode 9 of Minor League Weekly on the Minor League Minute YouTube channel. We're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts shortly after this live recording every single Monday night. I am Cory Sparks. I'm joined by Jacob Smedley. I'm joined by Sam Strash. And boys, let's get out of the chute hot. Quick statement, quick takeaway from this 3-team trade. The Cards are getting Cholowsky, switch pitcher, really fun. More on him in a moment. Ty Pete and outfielder Colton Ledbetter, 2026 competitive balance picks 68 and 72. The Mariners are getting the 29-year-old middle infielder in Brendan Donovan. The Rays get Ben Williamson, who I know Sam's got a little bit on. Sam, I'll hand the ball off to you first on just your gut reaction to this trade as it went down about an hour ago.
Well, supposedly Sanjo is going to be primarily used as a right-hander this year in the Mariners system. This is obviously pre-trade. So I'm curious as to what St. Louis is going to do with him. Obviously, he's got it from both sides, right? He can still get it up in the mid-90s on the left side, and he's touching close to 100 on the right. They just like him more on that right side. But that's kind of what made him expendable, is like the experimentation is still worth it, St. Louis. Heim, do you really want to, you want to take this guy and see where he can get you? But I think, in the end of the day, St. Louis is going to be the holder of all the cards, no pun intended. Brendan Donovan might end up being a glorified 2-year rental. Obviously, if the Mariners are able to keep that bat active, he's been a 280s hitter with about 20 homers in each of his first 4 seasons, first-time All-Star last year. If they can ink him to a long-term deal, they're probably going to end up winning this, but I think Tampa Bay should not be overlooked here. Ben Williamson, we were talking about this pre-show, Cory. He reminds me, the swing path and the way he just slaps the ball and he wants to find grass. That's his motive here when he steps into the box. He reminds me of a Hunter Pence, but a lot more aggressive at the plate, Hunter Pence. Don't let the on-base percentage fool you. Ben Williamson is a very aggressive bat. He's a little ankle biter. He's a bulldog. He's going to get on base for you. He's going to get hits, and he plays stellar defense. It makes me wonder is the plan to move him to shortstop because of Junior Caminero breaking out? Do they really trust Taylor Walls? There's a lot of questions here going forward.
Yeah, I think my first takeaway here, right, is we've critiqued the Cardinals on this podcast in the past, and I think most of the outside noise going towards St. Louis's direction has been they're old. They've got to get younger, and not only do they get younger in this trade, bringing in a prospect haul for soon-to-be 30-year-old at the start of next calendar year, Brendan Donovan, whose contract expires in a couple years, as you stated. But let's look at what they've been doing the last few weeks here. Out the door goes Contreras. Out the door goes Sonny Gray. They dealt him a couple of months ago. No Brendan Donovan now, who turns 30 pretty soon. And they keep swinging for prospects, young guys, ripe rookies. Senja is that switch pitcher, as you mentioned, Sam. He's more favorable from the right side. I think that is still such a unique skill set. Same as those switch hitters that come in, that they always have a side they're a little more favorable with. I think you use that. He can be a matchup nightmare, and Seattle set him up for success. They were doing him right. Even though he was better from the right side, they honored that switch pitching arsenal, if you will. So he'd go left hand one start, right hand the other start. Left hand one start, right hand the other start. Polished prospect as well, even though he's kind of got a diversified skill set. Was a college pitcher coming into the draft, and yeah, he's been turning some heads. Jacob, to peel back the curtain a little bit here, you were working on some car stuff when all this was falling out of the sky, but just as you enter the podcast here and kind of see the different pieces moving around, what was your first reaction to all this news?
Yeah, first reaction and just kind of talking it through, talking the trade through it. It feels like each of these teams got something that they need and got guys that really fit their identity. And going back to Brendan Donovan, what he means for Seattle, their kind of archetypes have been switchability guys. Dylan Moore, who was there for many years. They've had guys that, hey, can play second, can play third, can play outfield, and Donovan really fits that mold for them. Will slot in there at second base, but as mentioned, can move around. Needed a little bit of a lefty mix with Julio Rodriguez, Cal Raleigh at the top. Yeah, and then Williamson, really exciting. Like you said, Sam, a scrappy player that, again, the Rays like to bring in, with that mentality at the plate, with that mentality in the defensive end as well, third, second, short, that we've talked about in their farm feature. But yeah, the Cardinals, who I took a deep dive on with their prospects and what they need. Senja talked about guys that are ready to go and depth in that top end from AAA to the bigs. And I think Senja at the very least provides that. Again, it is that experiment. It is that risk. What is he going to bring to the table? So I like that, like Ty Pete as well. It's this Cardinals team, they have some outfielders with him, with Baez now that are in the pipeline. Of course, Jordan Walker already in the big leagues. That's that power in the outfield. That's where the Cardinals have been great, when they have big, powerful outfielders that are going to hit some bombs. So I think all teams won in this trade.
I think they all believe they got something, right? Like, you can go back to like 48 hours ago, the Jordan Hicks trade, where the Red Sox were essentially like, please take this contract. Like, we'll take a minor league arm off you. We're going to do what we can. They got a good strike thrower, but please take this guy's contract. This isn't one of those. It's teams betting on prospects. It's the Mariners. They've kind of been constructing that lineup 1 through 9 for the better part of the last 12 to 18 months. And Brendan Donovan checks off a box, right? He's steady. Like, before we turn the mics on, Sam, I compared him as a Cubs fan to Ian Happ. Like, no, he's not going to compete for the batting title. No, he's probably not going to go 30-30 for you. And if he does, it'd be the only time he ever does it. But he's steady. He'll play 140, 150 for you. And his standard deviation is really, really narrow. You know what you're getting with Brendan Donovan. Before we move on, I know you brought this up as well, Sam, that if they extend him, then maybe we look back at this deal a little differently. But I think every team at this present moment is walking away going, we have enough to harness a winner. We have enough to walk away from this trade and feel good about what we got done today. If I ranked them, I really like the haul the Cardinals got, and it pains me to say that as a fellow NL Central fan. And then, Sam, you kind of talked me off the ledge a little bit with the Rays. I thought, they got this guy with a handful of big league appearances. He's still pretty young. Did they get the short end of the stick as the returns are starting to come in? But if Ben Williamson really is that true pest, they've got exactly what they want. He's going to be in the same lineup as Chandler Simpson, who's going to steal 60 bags next year if he wants to. So that happened just about 60, 90 minutes before this podcast started. We wanted to make sure that we live reacted to it. What we were planning on kicking this podcast off with was non-roster invitees. We'll get to that next. Then it's risers, fallers, farm features with some NL West teams. And if you've been living under a rock the last few days, as of yesterday, we announced we are covering NCAA baseball. Non-conference play literally starts next week. So your Roch Cholowskys, we'll cover those. But if there's a Division III pitcher who throws 3 no-hitters this year, we're talking about him too. So really excited to talk about our preseason standouts as we get into the beginning of the NCAA baseball season and follow the road all the way to Omaha. But we go to non-roster invitees. Who is one person that caught our eye? I'll kick us off with the 66th overall prospect in the game. Someone I've talked about on my deep dive with the White Sox before. It's Braden Montgomery. And I begin it with this question. What happens if this kid goes into camp and just tears the cover off the baseball, which is entirely possible against great competition? It's a similar environment to the Arizona Fall League that bookends the other end of the season. He still has to play in AAA, but then I look over and see what Houston did with Cam Smith, and I go, does he? If he really impresses over the course of the next few weeks, do not be shocked if Braden Montgomery is in a lineup, in a big league lineup, that is craving offense right now. Cam Smith, we look at him as an experiment last year. A lot of teams are going to see if that is a move that they want to make. with skipping AAA when he went from the Cubs over to the Astros, hit 236, 1.9 WAR, 9 homers, and 51 runs batted in. I've seen guys be in AAA for 2 or 3 years do much worse. So that didn't really impact anything. The big league offense, like I just said, they are craving production. Similar to the Pirates makeup, the pitching's awesome. They're averaging under 4 runs per contest. They're only one of 4 teams that can claim that. They need the help, and Braden Montgomery is there to help, and he's eager for it. Probably a long shot, but again, if he goes out and rakes for a couple weeks, I don't think Chris Getz is ready to just mail it in and say, no. Go to AAA, go to Charlotte, develop. Braden Montgomery goes out there and hits mid-300s and hits the cover off the baseball against a couple of top-tier arms. He might go right to right field. So I'm really looking close at Braden Montgomery because of his skill set, because of how talented he is. I've had my eye on that Crochet trade ever since it happened and the return. I think there's a real opportunity for the White Sox to come out on top in the long run. And frankly, the White Sox need a bat. So Braden Montgomery is my NRI to look out for.
Yeah, I'll go next. For me, we talked about this guy going back to the Marlins farm feature, another team that has been active in trades. I'm going to go with Robbie Snelling in the Marlins organization, number 33 in the latest 2026 rankings, number 51 last year. The Marlins committing to young arms with the trade of Edward Cabrera, Ryan Weathers out the door. Snelling, I think, is debut ready in 2026 and could use this spring training opportunity as a springboard to that chance. Last season won the Marlins Pitcher of the Year award, and he finished the year 9-7, a 2.51 ERA, 2.22 batting average against 222, and really thrived in AAA at the end of the season. Had a sub 1.6 ERA. So I mean, right now you're looking at these track records for the Marlins with these young pitchers, with Yuri Perez, with Edward Cabrera, both of them. You might see Snelling start the year, maybe 4, 5, 6 starts in AAA Jacksonville, but I don't think they're going to be shy in calling him up. But again, if he continues and builds off of the end of the 2025 season in the spring with that opening that's now there in the starting rotation, a lot of names kind of battling out, I think he's someone that could separate, and the Marlins get him some reps at the start of the season.
Yeah, I had talked about Robbie Snelling back when I did the farm feature video for the Marlins. As a guy, him and Thomas White, I saw one of them possibly beginning the year with the Marlins in 2026, not both. And I think Robbie Snelling is just that one extra step in his development ahead of Thomas White. I could probably, if he has a strong spring, he might actually just say, screw the 6 starts. I'm going to start opening day on this roster. I'm going to go another pitcher here, staying in the NL East. I really like Travis Zakora. MLB's 54th overall prospect. He's Washington's number 3 to end 2025, and he was the 8th right-handed pitching prospect in all of baseball to begin 2026. And honestly, Washington, we got to face facts here. The current rotation projection is just not that good right now. It really isn't. They didn't have a single ERA below 4 out of any of the 5 projected to be in their rotation back in 2025. That would be Cade Cavalli, Brad Lord, Jake Irvin, Josiah Gray, and who's the last guy? Griffin last name. I'm blanking on the first name. He's another lefty. But none of those guys had an ERA below 4 last year. There are other options in the rotation for this year as well. Mitchell Parker, Luis Perales was acquired from Boston this offseason. Jake Eater's another lefty. Jackson Rutledge, we've heard of for a long time. Is he finally going to pan out? Griff McGarry, is he going to get any starting action? I know he's done more relief than starting lately. But Travis Zakora, a strong spring for him. We should see some Travis Zakora baseball beginning 2026. He's got a 60 grade fastball and splitter. He's the highest ranked starting pitcher in Washington's system, ahead of Harlan Sasana now, another guy that we were really raving about just a month or two ago. And like the White Sox, it's the inverse here. The offense is pretty solid for Washington, with James Wood leading the way, C.J. Abrams. With the White Sox and, like you said, with Pittsburgh and other teams, the pitching is their strength, but the offense really needs a kickstart. It's the inverse here. The offense is actually pretty good for Washington. The pitching just needs help. The team really needs to address their rotation to manufacture some wins. So if Sakura really has a strong spring training, what's the point in waiting to get this guy up in the bigs?
That's the big name now. Now that Mackenzie Gore is out the door, you talk about managers all the time saying, all right, we need to make up for our superstar in the aggregate. A large part of that aggregate could be Travis Sakura. Awesome call on Robbie Snelling. Jacob, I mean, top 5 things I'm looking forward to in 2026 are the meteoric rise that I think we could expect out of the Miami Marlins. I know we've discussed the A's ad nauseum on this channel as well. The Marlins are right up there with them in terms of having the right pieces. They felt a little ahead of schedule last year. And even though Edward Cabrera's out the door, you call up someone like Snelling, you got White in that same pipeline for a Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp team that we talked about that had the best pitching staff ever and was intentionally walking guys at a record high clip. Yet they still had the best pitching staff ever. Super excited for both of those. We next do risers and then fallers, stock up, stock down. I'm going to start with Billy Carlson. I guess I'm just a White Sox fan today. I don't know what it is. They've been popping up in my feed a lot. Billy Carlson, the shortstop for the Sox. He was their first-round pick in this past year's draft. MILB.com came out with their best tools of the new top 100 prospects list. You know, you go down the line of the 5 different ones, and then they kind of branch off into varying attributes. Billy Carlson earned not 1, but 2 superlatives. Best defender and best arm. These are scouts, writers throwing these lists together. If they have that much confidence about a guy who is yet to play an inning in professional baseball, I'm excited to see what he has to bring to the table. Also in the running, by the way, for some of those 2 early season superlatives, if you will, best defender and best arm. Fellow White Sox prospect, Braden Montgomery, who I just brought up. I've been saying this for a while, and I'll continue to say it. Between Billy Carlson, Braden Montgomery, Noah Schultz, Mr. 7 no-hitter, who I brought up at a previous episode, and Hagen Smith, who's still working on the command and fighting some elbow soreness, the Sox will be flirting with 80 wins this year. Do not be shocked when you look up there, and they're not mathematically eliminated with a couple of weeks to go. I don't think they'll get in, but then next year, 2027, I'll put my name on it right now. I think they're in the playoffs. You need enough of these guys to work out, but that could be a really awesome 18, 24-month rise that we could be watching unfold in front of our very eyes, and it starts with guys like Carlson and Montgomery. Quick note, Kevin McGonigal in this same list beat out Connor Griffin for best hitter. This doesn't mean much. It's a preseason projection, but I thought that was interesting, and I do think those 2 guys are going to be fighting for some batting titles for years to come if they end up being what they're supposed to be. So Billy Carlson with a touch of Kevin McGonigal for mine.
Yeah, very, very interested to see how the White Sox, the South Side,
Yes,
South
sir.
Side, the youth on the South
Side,
super
stand up.
Excited, stand up. North Side, South Side, Cory's like in all the sides in Chicago. I've got, Cory's starting off with some 2 risers. I'll add some 2 risers too, especially with breaking news that we have before the show. I'll start with the breaking news, I guess, associated one. JJ Weatherholt, who I talked about a little bit ago with the Cardinals farm feature. I mean, the path, I think, is now even more clearer. I mentioned on that episode where Brendan Donovan, the skill sets really overlap with what both of them are very good at. So the path is clear, I think, for JJ Weatherholt, another guy who is going to get opportunities in spring training and is going to get chances for the Cardinals. My second riser is wherever they're going to be, the A's, who we mentioned moments ago, and what they did with Jacob Wilson, getting ahead of the game with him, with that extension, locking up already a few other guys in recent years, like Brent Rooker, like Lawrence Butler, Soderstrom as well. I think Nick Kurtz, there's a lot of debate. He's going to command a lot of money. I think maybe this season, if they can get ahead on him as well, Leo DeVries, I'm sure maybe in a year or 2 when he is knocking on the doorstep, I think a contract is coming. So there's been a lot of questions with the ownership, moving the team, spending money, and rightfully so. But I think they're really investing in this young core and setting them up for the future. We're all very excited, and I'm very excited with the way that they're spending money on these young players.
I love that early investment, right? You see teams do it all the time. Yep.
So with my riser to close this segment, I'm going to kick off the first of 3 Boston Red Sox related risers and fallers. First one here, Marcelo Mayer. Okay. The Red Sox traded away Rafael Devers and lost Alex Bregman in free agency to the Cubs, all within 1 calendar year of each other. And now third base is wide open for Marcelo Mayer to slide in full time this season. He's the former #1 prospect in the system. He was the #5 shortstop in baseball at one point, #15 prospect in all of baseball. This year is going to be his first true test to live up to the hype that he debuted with. Remember last year he split 50-50 between AAA and the major leagues. In 43 AAA games, he had an 818 OPS compared to a 674 OPS in 44 major league games. He's just got to get more balls off the ground. He had a 48.3% ground ball percentage in MLB games last year. Gets him in the air. The exit velo is there. The bat speed is there. We got to get Marcelo Mayer to get that ball off the ground. He's got a real opportunity to showcase what he's got this year. As for a faller here, he was a Red Sox. Now he's a White Sox. Honestly, David Sandlin falling down my list a little bit. He was in a Boston system that was loaded with pitching prospects at one point. And their major league roster was also loaded with pitching, mind you. Now he gets traded to a team in a system that is, once again, loaded with pitching prospects. He's ranked 14th in Chicago's system post-trade, and he's also ranked below some notable starting pitcher names in their system in Noah Schultz, Hagen Smith, Tanner McDougal, Christian Oper, and Mason Adams, who is ranked one spot ahead of him at 13. The current rotation for the Sox and the big league team is headlined by Shane Smith, by Sean Burke, and Davis Martin, who are all roughly 2 WAR pitchers. David Sandlin's got good stuff. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a faller in my eyes simply because he's getting a little screwed over by this trade, going from one team that already had so much pitching depth to another team that's in the same position right now, which honestly, for any major league team, that's a good problem to have, is having too much pitching.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you have teams like the Brewers that, they ship off Freddie Peralta and Tobias Myers, but you've got Henderson. You have Mizorowski up there at the top. You have Yoho down there as a potential bullpen piece. You can look at the Red Sox, too, and say the same thing. You've got your high-octane guys like Peyton Tolley, but then you have other guys like a Gage Zeal that they just brought in the Jordan Hicks trade, where he's more of, I'm going to wiggle my way through the lineup. Jacob, great call on Jacob Wilson. 7 for 70, 10 million AAV. We're big fans of that on this channel, right? Like the Brewers did it with Jackson Churio. We saw the deal happen with Roman Anthony. Samuel Basayo's around that same AAV. If you know, and you know it, when you have these top-end prospects come up to the majors and they impress you right away, if you know that's your guy, don't waste any time. Don't let him go out there. And even after what Jacob Wilson did in the sample size that we saw, anyone else shocked they got him for that? I thought the price would be a little higher, but again, it's someone who's got a year of Major League Baseball underneath his belt. Him and his agent are probably like, look, this is reassuring. We can always up the contract if he keeps going. 2 amazing years like the one we saw in 2025. That thing's paid for, boys. Like, it's done. That's a $35 million a year player.
What it 100% does is it guarantees that Jacob Wilson is going to make so much more money than he would have been as just a renewable player. And in his probably first 2 years of arbitration, he's already getting more guaranteed money for that. And like you said, they can always up this contract value, but this is what small market teams do best. They go and ink these guys to long-term deals. The Braves did it with Acuna back in the day, lest we forget that. So that they ink these guys to long-term deals at cheaper rates than what they would get on the open market, let's say in a few years from now, just to make sure that they can afford to still be competitive.
100%. Before we get to fallers, I do want to go over a couple of questions. The chat's really active today, which we appreciate. Kyle Muth is saying, how is Ernesto Martinez going to play a part with the Brewers in 2026? I'm going to pass this off to my man in the middle.
Okay, so this is an inside joke between Kyle and I. I was very high on Ernesto Martinez to begin 2025.
Okay.
And Kyle, he's a former college bowling teammate of mine, good friend of mine from Wisconsin Whitewater. And, we had an argument over who was better going into 2025 between Jake Bauers and Ernesto Martinez. Ernesto Martinez is no longer employed by the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yep.
and I was extremely high on him last year. So inside joke between him and I. But yeah, that's a fun one, Kyle. I appreciate the comment.
I started looking at it, and I was 95% sure that was the case. I'm like, he's not there anymore. And then once I saw the smile rise up on your face, I'm like, oh boy, okay, I just dug something up that you probably would have rather had me ignored, but that's okay. All right, we'll go into fallers here. Fallers, Ernesto Martinez. No, I'll go with Eugenio Suarez. And I say that because I think we learned how Eugenio is valued by the rest of Major League Baseball. If we didn't know it before, right? He was the hot ticket in the trade market a handful of months ago, halfway through 2025, the big rental, the 49 home run hitter. And I know he has a huge strikeouts issue. I know the glove isn't the best, but the man just hit 49 home runs in a season for the second time in his career. When all is said and done, he's probably going to be in the 400, 450 club. Had the season of all seasons. But the Reds bring him home for 1 year, $15 million. And there's other things to look at. He's 34 years old. A single year at that price, I think, tells you a couple of things. The market wasn't great for him. He went back to a team that was comfortable with him. But most of all, you can hit 60 homers. And if you have a really bad glove and you strike out 200 times in a year once in a while, that is also going to be valued. Age is a factor too. I thought Eugenio was going to be good for, 2 for 40? 2 for 45 with an opt-out in there? 1 for 15. This guy's got to be thinking, look, you've known what I'm good at for a while. What more do I have to do to get a multi-year contract in this scenario? They're probably the Reds talking about now, just aiming to project that he's going to regress. And if he does regress, you have a safety blanket there. You're not turning a ton of money to someone like that. But yeah, Eugenio Suarez for 1 year, $15 million. That seems to be the reaction around the baseball community. Wow, they got him for a bargain. And man, he's probably not making the money he hoped he would have after the season he just had.
Yeah, Eugenio Suarez. I think he was, again, one of those where the market kind of shrunk out for him with some of the other infield guys that were on the move. And yeah, I saw the Pirates were interested as well. And that would have been an interesting spot, especially with what they're building and we've talked about. But yeah, I think there's that comfortability. I think the Reds are going to benefit from him. I know DH is there. My faller, it's just the Bash the Red Sox episode. That's what's going on. Follow as well. I'm just going to take a deep dive into the Rafael Devers trade and just an update on where we're at, kind of adding on to what Sam was discussing a few minutes ago. But Jordan Hicks now added to the list of players, changing socks going from Boston to Chicago. Just a look back, fellas, of what we've got. Hicks going to Chicago. Kyle Harrison, we just talked about the Red Sox pitching depth. He's kind of buried on that list with lefty arms. They just signed Ranger Suarez, a guy who literally does the same thing as he does to a better degree. Peyton Tolley, Connolly Early, James Tibbs III, also not on the team. He wasn't on the team at the end of the regular season this past year, traded for Dustin May. Jose Bayo finished the regular season in Single A Salem with the Ridge Yanks. Just 20 games, 5 starts. See how he continues to develop. But I mean, if you're looking at Bayo and Harrison right now for Rafael Devers, who's a middle of the order bat for the Giants, one of the best hitters still in the game, that's a yikes. That's a yikes for me, guys. So Red Sox, it's not looking great on that front. You know, hopefully with these young players that they have, they can kind of right the ship that way.
Are they leading the league in transactions for the last year? It feels like every 3 days they do something.
Feels like it.
Gotta be.
Right? They're moving. They're swinging everybody out of their corner infield, too. Third base has changed hands every 4 months.
Yeah. I remember doing our short form on the Rafael Devers trade. I gave Boston a B-, I believe, on the return. I'm going to stand by that, though, because, I mean, it did turn into Dustin May as well, which helped them down the stretch last year a little bit. Not, it wasn't, a needle mover by any means, but it at least got them some kind of let's make a push in 2025 value out of the Rafael Devers trade. I would have really loved James Tibbs in Boston. I just like James Tibbs overall as a prospect. I'll talk about him just a little bit more when we get into our farm features. Jose Bayo was the real wild card of that trade because there wasn't really much film on him. There wasn't a ton of numbers on him, but he was solid in the complex leagues with the Giants. And I'm glad to see that he got up to single A Salem with the Ridge Yaks towards the end of the season. He's got wicked arm movement. He's very, not. He's like the opposite of if Tim Duncan were to be a baseball pitcher, like a major league pitcher, he would be the complete opposite of a Tim Duncan play style, right? Like he is not fundamental. He's very wild with his mechanics. He's got to reel it in a little bit, but I think the sky's the limit for a guy like Jose Bayo. He's going to be the dude to look at going forward on how to evaluate this trade in 3 to 5 years. Kyle Harrison, like you said, Jacob, he's buried. Like there's not a lot of room for Kyle Harrison. I feel like he was kind of the, they talked Boston into making him like the headliner of the deal, but the real headliner in 3 to 5 years, the guy to pay attention to is Jose Bayo. If he's producing for Boston 3 to 5 years from now, the trade's a win. I compare Bayo to kind of where Adner Uribe was at this stage of his development, because Uribe's mechanics were a little wacky, but they have a very similar pitch mix, very similar pitches, like speeds in general and movement. If Bayo's producing in 3 to 5 years, it's a win.
Yeah, the stuff is there. I mean, you look about what happened with Uribe, where, Sam, you were kind of calling in on him even when he was in the lower levels of the minor leagues, going, the stuff is great. You just need to be able to harness it, and he needs to understand where it's going and be intentional with it. That's half the battle, right? And
exactly,
it's kind of the opposite of Brendan Donovan, right? Or Brendan Donovan, right? Like if Brendan Donovan's standard deviation is here, and you know what you're getting every single day, Bayo's got a lot of different projections. He could end up being an absolute door slammer on this pitching staff, or he could be out in a couple years because he can't command any of his pitches, albeit they move a lot. Guys are just going to stand in the batter's box and go, all right, man, I'll wait till I see strike 2, and then I'll start swinging. So good call there. This is the Sox episode, I just realized. A lot of Red Sox, a lot of White Sox,
really
little trade stuff going on at the beginning to kind of hack into it. But, yeah, a lot of ties there. Eugenio, that's the last thing I was going to say. I thought he was going to the Red Sox. I thought that was going to be the next hot corner piece. Thought it was going to go Rafi Devers, Alex Bregman for about a year, not even, and then Eugenio Suarez, and they did not take the bait. They did not bite on it. Instead, he goes back to Cincy for $15 million. Okay, we are 2/3 of the way home with our farm features at the time I'm about to introduce this 21st team. We just have the West now. So the NL West, followed by the AL West. I'll begin with the Colorado Rockies, a team that is in dire need of some farm production because they're coming off a 43-win season in 2025. 2 more wins than the Chicago White Sox had the year prior, where they went 41 and 121. We'll go top 5 strengths, weaknesses, and diamond in the rough. I'll get you guys input from time to time here because they start off with some big names. Number 1 is Ethan Holiday, shortstop. ETA is set for 2029. This is the latest apple to fall off of the Holiday tree. You, of course, had Matt a couple of decades ago. Jackson was the first overall pick in 2022, and now it's Ethan Holiday. And according to Jackson, this apple's better than the last one. He said himself, his brothers got more pop. And at their respective parts of their career, when Ethan was coming out of high school, was drafted right away, Jackson said, my brother is ahead of where I was at this point. A lot of people had Ethan going number 1 overall. It ended up being Eli Willits. Ethan Holiday fell to number 4 and went to his dad's team in Colorado. But this is the scouting report on Mr. Holiday. 6'4", 210, a lot closer of a frame to that of Matt Holiday. Didn't waste any time getting on a professional diamond either. As soon as he got drafted, registered 17 hits in 18 games, finished out the year in single A Fresno, smacked a couple of home runs with 6 runs batted in. The strikeout rate, albeit a very small sample size, was high. He struck out 33 times compared to his 71 at-bats. So 18 years old, serious raw power. Obviously, you're going to have some attributes to work on, but they're grading his power at 65. And look, I know Colorado fans have had it tough. They're probably going to end up having to make some deals up top to really change that 43 and 119 record, I think it was. Farm system doesn't have a ton of depth, but these top-end guys, if Ethan Holiday and the next guy I'm about to mention get hit, end up being hits, they'll feel a lot better because these guys are mashers. Holiday is one. Charlie Condon is another. And we're going to see him supposedly this year. I don't know why we wouldn't, to be honest with you. He's got the makings of being a 3 or 4 tool player. Another very large frame. He's 6'6", 215. Condon was the team's first-round pick in 2024. This was his college journey, which I think you want to talk about crazy stories and meteoric rises. Here we go. Redshirt freshman next year. Sets the SEC freshman home run record with 25 of them next year. 2024 Golden Spikes Award winner. He hit .433 in Division I and then had a 1565 OPS and made his way to minor league ball. From there, the Rockies said, thank you at third overall. Nuts. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Basically took the approach that Ethan Holiday did the year prior. Gets drafted, let me go out there and take my licks right away. We got the full look at everything this past year. 14 long balls, 58 runs batted in, 820 OPS over the course of a 99-game stretch that led him to Double-A Hartford with the Yard Goats. Awesome mascot, by the way. Battled a hand injury here and there that occasionally comes up and nags him once in a while. That's led to some strikeout issues too and some weird stuff with mechanics. Speed just isn't there. That's why I called him a 3 or 4 to a player, and the speed's not going to be there. He's going to be a 30 home run guy. That is what they're looking for, at least, at 6'6", 210. 1565 OPS, boys. I don't know if you can, rack your brain for any college seasons that were that crazy. Skeens lit it up on the mound, but Charlie Condon's a dude. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah, just unbelievable. I mean, when you that's just incredible to fathom. I mean, getting on that often, the extra base hits that much. That's just incredible. And I mean, of course, my cores, even those numbers and cores would be just otherworldly. But I mean, if he can keep it going all the way up to that hitter's ballpark, that would be amazing to watch.
Yeah, you put the altitude on top of it. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, they just got to get him to Coors. You hit the nail on the head right there, Jacob. They just got to get him to Coors. The size that Condon's got is only going to help him produce more power, right? I think he needs to add probably about 20 to 30 pounds more muscle, and we might see him hit 40 homers with regularity, especially playing in a place like Coors Field in Denver.
Yeah, this team is looking for that big bat. They had it for a handful of years with Nolan Arenado before he went away. They had their great cornerstone piece in Charlie Blackmon for a bit. He was more the on-base. It's been kind of dry there for the last handful of seasons. I know their catcher went off this past year. He represented them as their all-star. But we'll go to number 3. Cole Carrig, outfielder / shortstop. They're still looking to move him around a little bit. His ETA is also this year. Arguably the best arm on defense in this Rockies pipeline right now in terms of positional players, right? 70 grade has truly played all over the diamond. You'll notice that with a few of these top 30 guys in the Rockies system. They haven't been so eager to box someone in and say, you have to be a second baseman. You have to be our left fielder. If someone's versatile, they are leveraging that. And Carrig is no different. Taken in competitive balance round B of the 2023 draft. Scouting report got real creative with the wording on this one. They said he did everything at San Diego State except selling hot dogs. So he played all over the diamond, showed flashes of all 5 tools while playing all over the diamond. Also described him as basically an energy bunny, saying he plays with his hair on fire, runs hard, plays hard. He's a gamer. He's a switch hitter, and you'll see that this reputation carries over to his work on the base paths too, being that energizer bunny. 53 stolen bags in 2024. 46 steals this last year as he started to rank up Colorado's system. Essentially got a full season at Hartford last season. OPS fell over 100 points to just 710, but he was still a pretty stingy hitter. Back-to-back seasons of over 30 extra base hits in total and 15 homers. He is, again, expected to debut this year. I could 100% see it considering the Rockies they can't claim they're blocking anyone, right? They're struggling in the majors, but in general, if this guy can play 3, 4, 5, 6 positions and he hits well, you're going to find a reason to put him in the lineup. Number 4 is Robert Callis. He's a outfielder. His ETA a couple of years back, 2028. Really well-rounded talent. Just turned 20 years old a month ago. $1.7 million international signee at the start of the 2023 period. They cashed out on him. They believed in him. Just for reference, right? A lot of those top-tier guys like Ethan Salas, they're in that range. So in terms of raw talent, he's there. And right off the rip, he posted a 984 OPS in the Dominican Summer League. He's played a healthy amount of games, ramping up from 62 contests to 99 over the course of the last 2 seasons. Crazy raw power, still learning to kind of harness it at 6'2", 200, but the exit velocity, all the advanced metrics, they are there. He's just struggling with breaking balls out of the zone. Colorado does feel like this guy could project to be a 5-tool player. Everything's between 50, 55, starting to peak up towards 60 on his grading system and his scouting. He's supposed to get more and more reps in center field, too, with right field being a cop-out option. We'll get your guys' take on this next person. I've been following him since his Iowa days, and not just his Iowa baseball days, but his Iowa football days. This is Brody Brecht, hard-throwing righty, ETA 2027, was on the Hawkeyes football team for not 1 but 2 years. It wasn't quite the Jameis Winston story where he was getting a ton of playing time in both areas, but he'd go on to the diamond, flex his triple-digit fastball in the spring, and then after being redshirted his first year, he stayed on the team, I think got a couple of receptions as a wide receiver. I'll have to fact check that. And then had to make the full-time switch over his junior year. So has one of the most dangerous arms coming out of the Big Ten for his draft class. 70 grade fastball, 70 grade slider. And some thought he would be a traditional top 30 first-round pick. Colorado grabbed him eagerly at 38th overall. The issue with a lot of these guys, right, stuff is electric. This is alarming. At least it's his Iowa numbers and not what he had last year. He's gotten better. 6.8 walks per 9 at Iowa. That's not great. You kind of want to be around like 2 or 3, and that's even pushing it in certain instances. Yikes. So Rockies pitching staff's looking at honing in on his mechanics, making him stay in the strike zone. Even if you sacrifice a couple of MPHs, whatever, 95 Ks and 61 innings of work for single-A Fresno. He's also walked 35 hitters, so not quite the 6.8 per 9, more in the 4 to 5 range. Hard to hit, struggles to hit the zone. Tale as old as time with guys who have electric arms who are still trying to harness it, right? Started all 20 games, has a 2.51 earned run average. I don't think there's really, unless he all of a sudden becomes super accurate, a future where he is a rotation piece. I don't care how thin Colorado gets. This guy's a closer or a high leverage setup guy. He's got the electric stuff. He's got a couple of really good pitches. Unless he rounds out the pitch arsenal, learns how to locate everything, and can keep the MPHs up, I think Brody Brecht is a closer. I don't know your guys' take on that in general. Great athlete, right? Throws really, really hard, but even when they're starting him, quote unquote, he's throwing like 3-4 innings.
Yeah, I think, just kind of looking at it, it's just that you talk about the story and making it, as a wide receiver to that transition, talk all the time about, those dual sport athletes, how you can kind of use that mindset from one sport to the other. So kind of that same kind of hand-eye coordination with receiver into pitcher. So yeah, I think it also goes back to the conversation we had on this show last week, I believe it was, with the hard thrower with the command issues versus a guy who's a softer tosser with more command. So that's what he's got to figure out. I think the Rockies have had a few guys, especially recently, who have had that issue. Of course, the altitude really doesn't help pitching. We know that, but they've had guys that just really haven't put it together with the speed, with the velocity, and with the control. Maybe he can be an outlier, but yeah, I think it's going to be interesting how they tweak him, and make those adjustments starting in single A.
Yeah, and to fact check here, Cory, Brody Brecht had 9 receptions for 87 yards in the 2022 college football season and 1 carry for 4 yards.
What a dog. See, he's not just bench riding. He's got about to catch a game.
Mm-hmm. Say no to sports specialization in the future.
Amen.
No sports specialization. Play all the sports you want, kids.
9 catches. I thought it was like 3. Let's go. Awesome. See, dual sport athlete through and through. Absolutely love to see it. I'm a big fan of that too, Sam. I mean, there's multiple seasons for a reason, right? Play this here. Keep warm. Do your recovery program. Work on your mechanics. But if you're a really good receiver and you also throw 100 miles an hour, let's not waste the talent here, right? I'll go quick here on Diamond in the Rough strengths and weaknesses. My Diamond in the Rough is the exact opposite of Brody Brecht in every single way. Sean Sullivan, I think I brought him up on this channel well before the podcast, probably about a year ago. But if you've hung around this channel long enough, you also know I love guys who are crafty. They got a big pitch arsenal. Sean Sullivan is that, and he's the number 12 prospect in Colorado's system as a southpaw. He is supposed to debut this year. Fastball that barely breaks 90 miles an hour. It actually averaged 88, 89. Control is his best pitching attribute at a 60 grade. In 3 years of professional baseball, he's yet to have an earned run average over 3. He struck out 239 hitters over 223 pitch, so it's not like he's getting all weak contact. And he has just 41 walks in 223 innings. So literally the opposite of Brody Brecht in every single way. He's not a righty, he's a lefty. He throws about 10 miles an hour slower with his primary pitch, the fastball, and he does not walk hitters at all. Pitching for the Rockies obviously becomes a huge challenge when it comes to Coors Field, but this guy just has a way of wiggling through the lineup, being a steady option. He has that lower arm slot, not quite submarine, but it has that upshot effect that's messing with guys a ton right now. And yeah, so the slider's the only pitch he's really not able to locate, still experimenting with that. But he's got the diversified skill set, more of a finesse guy for sure. Strengths, I have one word, power. We've got guys with pop up and down this top 30. We talked about a couple of them in Ethan Holiday, Charlie Condon, and Robert Callis. Even their second base prospect in Rob Riggio put up a 880 OPS and a slugging percentage north of 500 across 4 levels last year. Very promising. You got the booming bats and obviously the Mile High City effect too. Weaknesses outside of Sean Sullivan, ready-made pitching. And pitching's always going to be tough there, but I don't see a lot of names who are supposedly ready this upcoming season. A few who might have their hand forced. Sullivan could be example of one, but it's tough knowing you don't have a ton of guys showing major league stuff on their way up. And then they got to go and try and pitch at that ballpark. So a tale as old as time, a team that hits a lot of tanks in the Mile High City, but might be struggling in the pitching department. But Sean Sullivan, look out for him, man. He'll hardly throw 90, but maybe he ends up being a middle-of-the-rotation piece for them.
I've seen enough. Welcome back, Jamie Moyer.
Exactly. Good pull. I was going to say Randy Wolf, actually. Good stuff.
Randy Wolf's a good one, too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good
Soft
drop.
toss and lefties. And I mean, maybe again, there's something with Coors where that movement, that elevation can make that, 88 look a bit like 92. There's a rise that can get, I don't know, maybe it'll play, especially at Coors. Maybe on the road, you just sit him on the bench. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they'll have to figure that out. I'll pick it up right back with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Made the World Series a few years ago. Last few years, kind of middling around 500 in the NL West. I'll go first with the top 5. Number 1 is Ryan Walter-Schmidt, outfielder, MLB's number 66 prospect in the 2025 rankings. He was moved up to number 59 in the latest 2026 top 100 rankings. Sarasota, Florida native who was used as a prospect promotion incentive pick that the Snakes got after Corbin Carroll won the Rookie of the Year back in 2023. So a little incentive that is now their top prospect in the system. 55 grade hit tool, 55 grade power, which is his biggest attribute, 55 grade speed leading the way. Power is what stood out to me. He had an ACL tear back in 2023 while playing in the Cape Cod League and only played 14 games of the single A season in 2024. This past year, got some more opportunities, played the full season, jumped up, had a standout year in Double A to finish the year following a promotion from High A. 309 average, 423 OBP, 498 OPS, 66 games, 77 hits, 9 home runs. Swing, watching it, very resemblant of Brian Dozier, guys. That's kind of a pull from the 2010s. Bat around, low to the shoulder, and that bat just explodes through the zone with some right-handed pop, kind of low center of gravity from the plate. So I really like that swing, very quick through the zone, and that pop, a little bit surprising with his swing, with his stature, but it really jumps off the bat. ETA right now is 2026. The Diamondbacks crowded outfield with Corbin Carroll, with Alec Thomas. Left field could be an option. There's conversations about former top prospect Jordan Lawler moving out there because of the success of Geraldo Perdomo. So I think he's either a September call up or you give him the full season in AAA, and next season he's a guy that breaks camp and starts at opening day. Number 2, keeping it in the outfield, Slade Caldwell, the first-round draft choice for Arizona in 2024, pick number 29, stands at 5'9" and has a smaller strike zone that he uses to his advantage at the plate. It's going to get eerily similar with these tools here, gentlemen. 70-grade run tool, 60-grade field, 50-grade hit tool. Corbin Carroll's first grade at number 4 in 2021, 60-grade hit tool, 70-grade run tool, 60-grade field. So some similar stuff with what Slade Caldwell brings to the table as the prominent outfielder for the Snakes at the big league level. Last season played in between Single A and High A Hillsboro, finishing the year with a 260 average, 408 OBP, 360 slugging, 106 hits, and 91 walks. Biggest question for him is the power. Has that smaller strike zone, uses it for contact, but still developing that pop from the left side. Again, continuing the comparison to Corbin Carroll, what really took him to the next level, what we talked about with Jason and Jackson Churio, was that power development. Corbin Carroll really honing in on his power from the left side. ETA 2028 right now, I think that is about right. Don't rush it, especially where he's at skill-wise, where he is in the minor league pipeline. They have outfielders. They have players kind of in front of him in the pecking order like that, really kind of refine his skills at the plate. Defense is there. Offense, again, just tweaking on that end. Number 3, Kason Cunningham, the first-round draft choice of 2025 for the Diamondbacks. This past year, number 18, went under slot. They picked him up. 60-grade hit tool, 60-grade speed, mixing in a 55-grade arm, profiling at that shortstop spot. Following draft, went to Visalia Single A, played 11 games, 255 average, 12 hits, 15 Ks, 3 walks, struggle with the strikeouts, the hit tool, very quick inside out swing from the left side, taking the ball the other way is his next step. Very good, lining it up the middle, hitting it to the pull side. Got to work on opposite field, taking those pitches on the outer half. Some comps as well to kind of a left-handed hitting Jet Williams, who we've talked about on this show with the Brewers. That was a comp for him being drafted. So, an area where maybe the Diamondbacks can move him around. Of course, he's still years away. Geraldo Perdomo still kind of holding down that shortstop spot for the time being. Number 4, another infielder, second base, third base, Demetrio Crisantis, shortstop, second base, third base, excuse me, third year in pro ball, drafted in the 7th round. He's an Arizona native, grew up right on the border of Arizona and Mexico, drafted right out of high school. So again, he knows what baseball is like in Zona and what it means to play in front of that Phoenix crowd. Little bat movements, really steady right above his hand, but a leg kick provides excellent movement, excellent lift, great exit velos, and again, some surprising pop when he makes contact. The ball flies for him. This past season was promoted to High A Hillsboro, 252 average, 773 OPS, 31 hits in 34 games played. He did suffer a labral tear, so he should be ready for 2026, but it really ended his 2025 short. The 2027 ETA for him, I think I'm going to go with 2028. I think right now, finish out, kind of have a full year in AA coming up. Then in AAA, I think in 2027, just mapping it out for 2028. Made the trade for Arenado. I think that's probably going to be his final year. Ketel Marte, to be quite honest, he might be gone by that point. So I think that's a time with Crisantis, he is ready. And number 5, the most MLB ready out of the bunch, Tommy Troy, one of 2 players that the Diamondbacks invited as a non-roster invitee along with Walter Schmidt to spring training. 55 grade tools across the board and has skills that can translate to the bigs immediately. Took the promotion to AAA in stride with a 295 batting average, 38 games with Reno, 46 hits total the year with a 289 average, 833 OPS, 144 hits, and 79 runs across double and AAA. Something that really took me by surprise looking at his stats, looking at his video, is his power. He upped his power numbers, career high 15 home runs in 2025, along with 28 doubles, 21 doubles combined from the previous 2 seasons. So he's finding gaps. He's right now a guy that's blocked again, just mentioned with Ketel Marte, Nolan Arenado really could have benefited from the Diamondbacks trading their second baseman if they did go that route in the offseason. I think he's a guy that they might look to move to outfield. He's also listed on MLB.com as an outfielder. Like I said, they're also trying to do that with Jordan Lawler. So we'll see what's going on there. Blaze Alexander, who's had some good moments for Arizona at the big league level as well. So I'd say ETA right now, 2026, September call-up, maybe safer pick. Again, spring training breaks the roster, 2027 with some more guys moved around. Diamond in the rough is Avery Awosu Isiadu, who the number 27 in the Arizona system outfielder, who they acquired recently this offseason with my Philadelphia Phillies in exchange for left-handed pitcher Kyle Backus. Biggest skill for him is 55 grade power. He has 70 grade speed, a little something different from the prospect mold for the Diamondbacks. He brings speed with power. Strikeout rate is the big thing for him. Has continued to cut it down, though, from 36.5% back in 2023. It's continued to go down. Stands out, 6'4", large frame. He definitely uses that on the base pass, but still trying to find advantages with that frame at the dish. Absolute cannon of an arm, guys, out in right field. Gunned down Connor Griffin, a 97-mile-per-hour throw that gunned down Griffin at the plate this past season. So maybe Arizona can make those tweaks to his swing and add another outfielder to their depth in the system. Some strengths, infield options. Again, Troy leading the pack. I really like where Arizona has gone with drafting as well as their development with these infielders, with, of course, Perdomo, what he has really grown into. Of course, Marte has been a staple there. Of course, they make the trade for Nolan Arenado, but they have guys like Troy. They have Chris Santos. They have these guys kind of waiting in the wings. James Groover, J.D. Dix, Christopher Torrin, other guys that didn't even mention in the top 5 that are going to get some opportunities as non-roster invitees. So, I mean, even trading for Arenado, they have depth if he does get injured, if stuff goes awry with the veteran. Weaknesses to wrap things up: fielding tool and outfield questions. Of course, you always love depth, but maybe there's a little bit too much depth here. Some of the questions are going to be DH with Walter Schmidt. He does struggle in the field. Where you going to put him? Of course, the whole Jordan Lawler situation, which, he's really been up and down and, had that high ranking, but really hasn't found his stride yet, especially, again, with guys like Perdomo, as great as he's been, has really taken his spot. Where is he going to play? Walter Schmidt, Caldwell will be ready. Can't keep these guys in the minors forever. And for a Diamondbacks team, right back to the Cardinals situation, Marte, Arenado, can you move these guys, reset, push these younger guys up, get them some opportunities at the big league level?
So a little bit of an older team, like you just alluded to, right? Great comp with the Cardinals. I went up and down the list, and as you kind of went through, you answered my first question, I think. Ketel Marte gets traded tomorrow for a prospect haul. They're trying to build up on assets. Tommy Troy's the guy? Are you thinking he's the leader in the clubhouse to take his spot?
I think so, yeah. I think so.
I like it. Yeah, I think that's big, right? I think in general, they've kind of got a surplus, or not an embarrassment of riches, but if you want to like go up and down this farm system, got a couple of guys who can play short, got a couple of guys who are up the middle over on the second base end. Jacob, full transparency, like as we've gone through this series, and we're probably about 3 or 4 episodes of being done, or away from being done with it, the Diamondbacks are just one of those teams. Maybe it's because the top end of their farm has struggled. We haven't covered them a lot, so you kind of ventured in the dark for us here, which we really appreciate. I didn't know some of these names, genuinely, right? I knew Tommy Troy, and I think that's just because of the dialogue that's going on over at that second base spot. Should Ketel Marte get dealt, he seems to be the leader to take over that spot. But yeah, great work diving into it and giving us an idea of a farm system that I honestly think nationwide isn't getting a whole lot of coverage right now. These are names that are, they're the names of tomorrow. And if this Diamondbacks team is, I don't know, let's say a handful of games under 500 at the deadline, all of a sudden these guys are going to rise to the top if they decide to go rebuild mode. Something I don't think they've considered the last couple of years or pulled the trigger on, but if they do, all these names that you just brought up are going to get a lot more runway. So appreciate you doing that.
Of course.
Yeah,
of
excellent
course.
work, Jake. You know who does have an embarrassment of riches is everyone's favorite Major League Baseball franchise, the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Could I just say I thought it was funny? I thought it was funny you ended up with this team. We'll just put it that way. You go ahead.
Yeah, so I notably, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? It was either last week or 2 weeks ago. I think it was around the Freddie Peralta trade, where I talked about the Dodgers farm system, as I've never been high on them. These guys never really seem to pan out all too often. They always get moved in different trades and go to different organizations and just fizzle out. And while that might be the case, and I'll still stand by that claim, to suggest that they don't have some dogs in their top 5 or their top 30 in general would be a straight up lie. Mm-hmm. And all of their top 5 prospects have cracked MLB's 2026 preseason top 100. Their top 4 prospects are all outfielders. 3 of them are basically the exact same player. We'll get into it right away with their number 1 prospect in the system, MLB's 13th overall and their 3rd overall outfielder in Josue De Paula. The one guy who is not the exact same player as the other 3 outfielders on this list. He's a little different. And quite frankly, I need to see some better prospect grades on this guy. I need to see some like updated grades, because do you mean to tell me that he has a 40 grade run tool, but he steals almost 30 bags a season? That's a little misleading for me. He does have the size to be able to do that. Maybe he's just not that quick for his size. I don't know. But when I see 30 stolen bases a year, I think a 40 grade run tool is a little bit misleading. Fun fact, and there's going to be a couple fun facts here as part of this farm feature. He is the second cousin of former NBA basketball players Stephon Marbury and Sebastian Telfair. So he has some pro sports blood in his family. His 2025 numbers at High A Great Lakes this year with the Loons, 98 games there. He had a pretty solid year there. 263, 406, 421 was his slash line. That's good for an 827 OPS. He had 90 hits, 16 of them doubles, 12 of them homers, with 44 RBIs, and again, the 32 stolen bases. So he has 20 double, 20 homer potential written all over him. If you must know, he did play 4 games at AA Tulsa last year and went hitless, hence why we're only looking at his high A numbers for the sake of this farm feature. He's going to get his time in AA. He's still very young. He's 20, pushing 21 years old. Projected debut is 2027. There's going to be a common theme here. My projected debut is 2028 to 2029 because A, he's still very young and obviously needs more time, but B, with the contracts and the money LA is handing out like it's candy, they don't really need De Paula to be ready come 2027. So I think they're going to take their sweet, sweet time with a dude who projects to be, according to many scouts, that one of the next big stars in Major League Baseball if he continues to progress the way he has been. Number 2 is another outfielder. They're second of 4 in their top 5. Zaire Hope, MLB's 27th overall prospect and 5th overall outfielder. Again, who's evaluating these guys? Because I genuinely think Hope is a much better prospect at this very moment than Josue De Paula. He fared far better than DePaula in his 6 games at AA Tulsa this year. He went 6 for 19. That's a 316 batting average. And he had 5 RBI to go along with it. But I think the reason people have DePaula over Hope is simply the physicals. DePaula has got a few inches of height on Zaire Hope. Zaire Hope is a better fielder. They're very similar batting-wise and with the legs, but Hope is 5'10", right? This probably means with DePaula being taller and a little bit more suited to his body, that he's probably going to have longer strides, a larger wingspan, more strength, more power in the stick. But Zaire Hope is still not to be taken for granted. He's still a very talented prospect. He had 121 games this year at High A Great Lakes, where he slashed 264, 377, 428. That's another above 800 OPS with 116 hits, 27 doubles, and 13 homers, which the 13 homers, a career high to this point in his minor league career. Also had 75 RBI and 26 stolen bases. Here's the problem. 139 strikeouts in 121 games. DePaula does not have that strikeout problem that Hope seems to have. Projected debut for him is also 2027. I'm going to go with the common theme here, 2028, 2029. But here's a take that I want you guys to at least consider really quick. One of Josue DePaula, Zaire Hope, or either of the next 2 prospects will be moved at some point in the next 1 to 3 years. Are the Dodgers going to be shelling out a few of these guys? Discuss.
Yeah, I would say so, especially when you basically just broke it down perfectly there, right? Between DePaula and Hope, very similar skill sets across the board, actually, except one guy's just got a way bigger stature. So whoever the Dodgers think is going to translate more, they're probably going to go with the higher-rated guy just because he's much bigger and much more powerful and kind of passes the eye test a little more. Could 100% see Hope and one of those fringe Major League roster guys going somewhere else at the trade deadline, and then because it's the Dodgers and 2027 isn't here yet, they sign and trade him and grandfather the guy in. So, yes, I would say Hope, and I would say that that's very likely, and I'm very much enjoying the theme of pushing these guys back a year or two, because where on earth are you going to put them? Like, forget who's on first, who's literally anywhere. This team is loaded with talent. They're trying to go back to back to back. Hope is where my vote goes for this hypothetical trade in the next handful of months.
They're fetching water for all the $600 million.
Yep,
they
exactly.
call him up to spot start once every 7 days. I wonder if multiple guys are moved in the same trade. Like if they're like, hey, this guy's available from this team. We you can get. You put a haul of prospects, go with their rivals, the Padres mentality, where we're just gonna bundle them together, just continue to go all in. Don't know if they're that reckless, but yeah, I'm gonna agree that at least one of these guys, if not maybe 2 out of the 3, will get moved.
Here comes our next outfielder at number 3, originally signed as an international signing as a catcher, but like many catchers, he was just too athletic to not try in the outfield with as young as he is. This is Eduardo Quintero. He's MLB's number 30 prospect, so he's right behind Zaire Hope. He's also minor league baseball, number 6 outfield prospect. Very similar prospect profile to Zaire Hope. Only Quintero's a righty-righty, while Hope's a lefty-lefty, so you have a little bit of differentiation there. 55 grades in hit, power, and field tools, 60 grade run and arm. This just screams starting center fielder. And I kind of like Quintero more long-term than I do Andy Pages. And I was pretty high on Andy Pages coming up in 2024 with the Dodgers. I'm going to split Quintero's stats up here because he was phenomenal across both single-A Rancho Cucamonga, which is now single-A Ontario for the Dodgers, for those keeping score at home, and his numbers at high A with Great Lakes. In his 81 games at Rancho Cucamonga, slashed 306, 426 on base, 533 slug as a center fielder, 959 OPS. So he had 18 doubles, 14 homers, 53 RBIs, 65 walks. He did strike out 88 times in 81 games, but that's a little bit on the lower side compared to guys like Zaire Hope. He also had 35 stolen bases. Power, speed, threat is all you really need to know about Eduardo Quintero. In his 32 games at High A Great Lakes, 259, 384, 440 with an 824 OPS. So he's still OPSing above 800, well above the average for the standard high A outfielder. 30 hits, only 4 doubles this time, 5 homers, 16 RBI. But again, he also played in only 32 games down here. 23 walks to 35 Ks, 12 stolen bases. He had 47 steals across both levels of A ball last year to go along with 19 homers and 22 doubles. Projected debuts 2028. Say it with me, everyone. 2028, 2029. Same theme again. I'm sounding like a broken record, but where does he fit if LA keeps throwing money at everything that moves? Again, This is another guy I could see being a trade candidate. Number 4, another outfielder, the 4th of 4 outfielders in their top 5, MLB's 60th overall prospect, Mike Sirota. So picture this, guys. What if we took Eduardo Quintero and just had 2 of them? That's basically Mike Sirota, okay? He just happens to be an inch taller than Eduardo Quintero and have about 13 extra pounds of muscle on him. So this is another guy who is just going to be a stud center field potential, right? Another fun fact, his great uncle, Mike Sirota's great uncle, is Yankees legend, 6-time World Series champion, Cy Young Award winner, Whitey Ford is his great uncle. He's another guy I'm going to split up some stats with because the only word I had to say, granted he played in just 59 games, but the one word I had to say about Mike Sirota is wow. His 24 games at single A, 354 average, 443 on base, 687 slug in 24 games. That's a 1130 OPS, 35 hits, 8 of them were doubles, 7 of them were homers. He also had 24 RBIs. In his 35 games at high A Great Lakes, a 316 average, 458 on base. He got on base more times, 556 slugs, so his OPS is still over 1,000. 37 hits, 8 doubles again, 6 homers, 30 RBI, 33 walks at high A Great Lakes. He's got a phenomenal eye at the plate, and he's got great bat to ball skills. Projected debut is 2027, but yeah, same song and dance. 2028, 2029 is what I'm going to say about Mike Sirota. At least 2 of these guys got to get moved, right? If you are, so another question before I get into number 5 for both of you. If you are an opposing GM in Major League Baseball, which of those, let's go 2 through 4. Those are the 3 very comparable outfielders between Zaire Hope, Eduardo Quintero, and Mike Sirota. Who would you be drooling over the most to receive in a trade with the Dodgers?
I think you pitched me pretty well on Sirota, right? The sample size gets larger and larger. The guy's hanging out above 300. He still has a decent amount of pop. The OPS been well above 1,000 too. Now, yes, that's a bit of a lower level. It's not as polished of a prospect as maybe Zaire Hope. But I think in general, Sirota, and it's ironic I say that, because if there's anywhere where you can actually claim there might be an inkling of an opening in the Dodgers major league landscape, they just threw Pages in the outfield. If there's anyone up there, playing Major League Baseball for the Los Angeles Dodgers right now who maybe doesn't have a stranglehold on their position, albeit he made that catch in left center to essentially save their opportunity to go back-to-back, Pages didn't do as well as maybe we anticipated his first couple of runs at it. It would be out there. So I don't know how much the Dodgers are going to be clutching their jewels in someone like Sirota, but I think out of those 3, semantics-wise, we look through all the logistics, I think he's the most likely to go somewhere. And if I'm an opposing GM, I think I have a pretty good shot at striking a deal for someone like him, because I think Hope might be untouchable.
Yeah, I think I'll go with the clone, Quintero, the other clone of Sirota. Yeah, I think again what you mentioned that he brings to the table at the dish, with his ability to get on base, his growth with high A, you can't go wrong here. I think other teams, if there's a minor league swap involved, or if there's an opportunity for a team that needs some outfield depth, I think you look at Quintero kind of doing, you mentioned originally signed as a catcher. I think there's some versatility there. I know he's an outfielder, but, if a team wants to maybe move him around left field, use that athletic ability. So, but, if we're doing 2 out of the 4, I'm Quintero, and I'm going after DePaula if I'm another team. Those strikeout numbers really concern me with Hope.
I like it.
Into our comment section here. I'm glad we have such an active section tonight.
going
guys.
off today.
So thank you for all the comments and all the
Yeah.
feedback you're providing for all of us. It just goes to show, post the link everywhere once in a while. It's gonna get you somewhere, right? Let's go to our fifth and final of the top five here with the Dodgers. Emil Morales. He's a shortstop. A little change of pace from all the outfielders, and he's Major League Baseball's 92nd overall prospect. He's another very balanced prospect in this top five. 50 grades at the hit, run, and field tools, 55 grade arm, and 60 grade power. So from a shortstop having 60 grade power, holy cow. He led the Arizona Complex League last year pre-promotion to Single A in hits with 70 and extra base hits with 25. And again, I'm going to split up the stats here with Emil Morales. He had 59 games at the Complex League with the Dodgers, 881 OPS with almost 500 slug for a shortstop. Wow. 70 hits, again, like we said. He had 13 doubles, 3 triples, 9 homers, 43 RBIs, 31 walks, but he did have 76 strikeouts in 59 games. The strikeouts are an issue, but it is a fixable one. Okay, he is still very young. It is still very early in his professional career. You can fix the strikeouts at the plate. His 30 games at Single A Rancho Cucamonga, again now Single A Ontario. Rancho Cucamonga, for those interested in knowing, they are now the Single A affiliate for the Los Angeles Angels. They were the Angels affiliate in the early 2000s, all the way till about 2010, and then 2011 the Dodgers took over until this past year. So now Cucamonga is going back to the Angels. But anyways, I digress. Morales' 30 games there. He had a .339 batting average. I know people don't like batting average anymore. I still do. That goes to show that Morales can get the bat to the ball and get the ball in places that fielders are not. 420 on base, 548 slug for 968 OPS, 42 hits in 30 games there, 11 doubles, 5 homers, 17 walks, again, 33 strikeouts. But the bat is too talented to make this strikeout issue a major factor in promotions going forward. It's a very fixable issue. Projected debut is 2029. I'm also going to ride with 2029. He's 19 years old. By the time 2029 rolls around, Mookie Betts will be about 36, 37 years old, and Alex Freeland did fall behind Morales in prospect rankings this year. So Morales is on the up and up, and other than those two, both Andy Ibanez and Hyesung Kim are question marks long term. I do like Emil Morales being a guy that the Dodgers do try and hug and hold on to and keep him out of trade talks going forward. My diamond in the rough for the Dodgers, big left-handed pitcher, Adam Serwinowski. He is their number 13 to end 2025. He was part of the 3-team trade with the Dodgers, the Reds, and, oh, you guessed it, the Tampa Bay Rays back in 2025. He's got good size at 6'5". He's lanky. He's got a 60 grade fastball that can touch 101 and a 60 grade slider / sweeper. It's called a slider. It really is more like a sweeper. I still don't know the difference between the two. That's just what scouting reports say. He had one start at AA Tulsa last year where he only went 3 innings, gave up 6 hits, 5 runs, 3 of them earned with 2 walks and 4 Ks. But his combined high A numbers pre and post trade were pretty solid. He was a 5-7 win-loss record, 3.89 ERA through 108 2/3 innings with 91 hits allowed, 12 of them homers. Not crazy home run numbers for a starting pitcher, but it's still about middle of the road. 53 walks to, 136 strikeouts. This guy is a strikeout first baller. He had a 1.33 whip though, which is kind of high, but still doable. Projected debut is 2027. My projected debut for him, to be quite honest with you, I think he could be justified on the big league roster by the end of this year. I also think he could be debuting in 2029 because, again, the Dodgers throw money at everything, right? So Serwinowski has the size and he has the reach and the extension of other tall bigs in Major League Baseball, kind of like, I don't know, Jacob Misiorowski. I'm not saying he's like Misiorowski in any way, but the physicals do line up and he's got good extension. Like, he could, if he has a solid year at AA and he gets promoted to AAA and looks solid there, why not give him like 2 appearances in September? Because the Dodgers are known for resting their guys for the playoffs, right? Blake Snell barely pitches in baseball last year, ends up being the best pitcher on planet Earth come the playoffs, right? Tyler Glasnow the same way. Once those guys get injured, I could see a guy like Serwinowski catching a flyer, maybe even like a July flyer if there's enough guys getting hurt on that Dodgers roster. Quickly, strengths and weaknesses. Their strength, dare I suggest it's the outfield? outside of their top 4 prospects entering 26, they also have outfielders James Tibbs III. Hey, there's that mention from earlier. Ching Sen Ko, Charles Davelin, Brendan Tunick, Kendall George, Jaron Elkins, and Zach Earhart all produced very well for this Dodgers system last year. If they could find a way to play 8 outfielders and a pitcher, I'm sure they would. But some of these guys are going to go produce for other teams in the future. They just have a lot of great outfielders in their system. Their one weakness I've found is at first base. It's tough to find a weakness in this system according to scouting reports, but the Dodgers have no first baseman in their top 30 list from 2025. This could change going into 2026 once we see the teams all release their new top 30s. But as it stands right now, they don't really have anyone at that first base side. But rest assured, if you're a Dodgers fan, you don't need to be worried about that. You still have Frederick Freeman over at first base, the best hitting first baseman in I don't even know how long. Sure, bona fide Hall of Famer. You have nothing to worry about right now at first base in the minors.
Good call on the pitching. I mentioned how the outfield isn't really solidified, but you look at guys like Glasnow and Snell, and they were just rested so much down the stretch. Even if you're treating it as a late season tryout for another big league ball club, when rubber hits the road and you might be in a deal and they're scouting for you, that's another opportunity over a 162 game season where maybe the Dodgers clinch early too, right? Start resting guys, and you might have an Adam Sermanowski going out there and throwing a few games. Sam, huge credit to you. There's a lot of Brewers fans I could go up to and ask to do a Dodgers farm feature that would tell me to kick rocks. You didn't, and you did really well. So seriously, awesome job there. Let's say
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you did great. And I think Zaire Hope and Josue DePaula, those are going to be 2 names that people look out for a long time. But they got a little depth too, right? It's a good farm. It's just a matter of how much they're going to use it in present day. All right, let's say you're tuning in. This is episode 9, and you're going, man, I missed what they were talking about last week, or I missed the White Sox farm feature, or I missed when Jacob talked about the Cardinals before some of these moves that came to fruition. Now it's gone forever, right? No, it's not. It's 2026. We podcast everything. Here's a quick message on where you can find all of our archived content.
For all of your prospect and affiliate. Did you miss the live version of our Minor League Weekly podcast? No worries. We've got you covered at Minor League Minute on YouTube and Minor League Weekly on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Then you can go back to watch or listen to the whole episode for all of your prospect and affiliate ball needs. So what are you waiting for? Go follow, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications to get caught up with the latest. That's Minor League Weekly on all of those platforms.
All right, there is your message on every place you can find us. Again, go to any social media platform under the sun, look up a variety of Minor League Minute or Minor League Min, and you will find us. And, of course, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, you can listen to the audio version of today's episode once we put it up. Segment number 5, we are officially expanding to college baseball content. February is so quiet. Spring training isn't going to start for a couple of weeks. What are you guys really talking about? Well, now we're going to talk about the non-conference matchups that are starting in literally just a couple of weeks. Let's be honest, right? We put our heads together a few days ago and decided, okay, a professional baseball's journey does not start when they get drafted. It really starts like when they're playing 12U ball and they realize they're playing up like 2-3 years. We're not going that far back yet. We are going into the college baseball sphere because I think there's a lot of high-ticket names that we can talk about, like a Roch Cholowsky, like a Justin LeBron, who are going to be talked about a lot more in the minors, but these guys are stars right now. What are they currently doing to earn the blue-chip status that the Roch Cholowskys of the world are getting? So you can expect some short form, a little long form here and there, and some splotched mentions in our podcast about the world of NCAA. If an NAIA pitcher goes off or a hitter hits for the cycle 2 times in a month, we're covering those oddball stories too. So wire-to-wire, wall-to-wall coverage. Just to launch it, we're going to each give a preseason we're going to give some preseason recognition. Words are hard right now. I'm going to give one, Sam will give one, and Jacob will give one in terms of just a college baseball prospect who we're keeping an extra close eye on in 2026. I'll kick us off with Liam Peterson, right-handed pitcher from Florida, number 13 prospect to watch at the college level according to MLB.com right now. I love a good Florida arm. He's not fully polished, but the makeup, the potential, the tools, they are right there. Give a snapshot look at what he did last season. Went 8-4. Wins, losses really aren't that relevant, I guess, right? But a 4.28 earned run average. And in his 15 starts, a lot of them against those SEC bats, 96 hitters struck out in under 70 innings pitched. A healthy K per 9 for Liam Peterson. Learn that name. He can reach back and clock 98, 99, has the 60 grade fastball. Slider and curve are 55 grade, and he does have a changeup. Okay, this is someone who hasn't pitched a game of professional baseball yet, and he's already thinking about his 4-pitch mix. He's got big league aspirations for sure. Going to be 21 years old this season, improved across the board from his freshman year to his sophomore year. He's got the high-octane stuff. He's got the 4-pitch mix. He's constantly working and tinkering with his mechanics. I'm really excited for this. He's an SEC arm on top of everything else. So sign me up for some Liam Peterson stock here in early February.
Yeah, for me, guys, Cory, what are you talking about? I'm going with Timmy Plinkerton from Rockville Middle School. What a 12-year-old.
Yeah. I saw you guys smiling.
He's my pick to watch.
I saw you guys smiling like, dude, we're not covering youth ball. We are not covering youth ball. That will never be in the chat. Yeah.
This kid destroyed kid pitch.
Big
last
country.
year. Come on,
Big country. Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Start him young.
Yep.
My pick, we're going with Zion Rose for Louisville. Right now, looking at kind of MLB.com's big board, looking at the draft. Of course, a lot can change between now and then. He's ranked as the number 28 player to watch this upcoming season. It's Louisville's squad shaping up for another run to Omaha to the College World Series. A catcher who has transitioned to an outfield mold. Some great skills at the dish with some defensive questions. Heading into his junior year, last 2 seasons, batted a combined .330 average, 141 hits, 99 RBIs, a .555 slugging. Last season, played all 66 games for the Cardinals, either in left field or at DH. This is a guy that I really like and could rise up the charts, especially with his plate power and his presence at the dish. I think he's a guy, again, right now in that mid-20s range, but if he has another great year batting over 300, his power numbers went up this past year, could really be a look in the corner outfield for teams that could use them. We talked about the Dodgers, we talked about general managers that could be looking at some outfield help. You don't have to reach to the Dodgers. You can just draft this guy in the upcoming draft. Some teams I think that could have some scouts, Nationals, Angels, Marlins in that 11 to 14 range could be some teams that I would send some scouts to Louisville to watch this guy play. Just some awards to take a look at what he did last year. 2025 Collegiate National Team USA, NCAA Elite 90 award winner, All ACC first team, and he was also on the Golden Spikes preseason watch list. I assume there will be a lot more awards coming Rose's way here in 2026.
Love that. Louisville's a great program, too.
Yeah, I've got another pitcher here, another SEC pitcher for my my guy to pay attention to, my guy to watch here in the college baseball season. Tegan Kuhns. He's a right-hander out of Tennessee. He had a rough 2025/freshman year, but he was terrific in his 13 1/3 innings pitched in the 2025 Cape Cod League season. Again, the Cape Cod League, for those who don't know, is the best, far and away the best summer collegiate baseball league for all of these different prospects. They take in different players from all different levels of college baseball. It's like the California League. It's like the Northwoods League. A few other pretty solid leagues around, but Cape Cod is definitely the one that gets the most name rec. Tennessee has a great track record of pitchers in Major League Baseball. For just a couple names of current guys, Garrett Crochet comes to mind. Chase Dollander was a higher up draft pick a few years ago. Ben Joyce with the Angels. Remember, Ben Joyce was that Tennessee pitcher that went viral for hitting about 106 miles an hour on the radar gun. If I have my numbers right here. They also, just last year, had 5 pitchers selected in the first 3 rounds of the MLB draft. Those would be Liam Doyle, Marcus Phillips, A.J. Russell, Tanner Franklin, and Nate Snead. So, moral of the story here is that the floor is wide open for Kuhns to take a leap this spring. And new head coach Josh Elander, who's taking over for Tony Vitello, who's headed to the Giants to be their major league manager, has him slated to be the team's ace going into 2026 ahead of fellow sophomores Evan Blanco and Landon Mack. He's got a 60 grade fastball and curveball as it stands right now, 45 grades for his slider, cutter, changeup, room for improvement all around at all of those spots. But he's already got a 5-pitch mix. Sophomore, could be one of those rare sophomore draft picks this year, and Major League Baseball has him projected to go in the top 50. Tennessee is currently ranked 14th in the top 25, and Tegan Kuhns is going to play a major role in their season, whether or not they go up or down past that rank.
I remember the Ben Joyce pitch, man. Yeah, 105, 106. I think Max Rin had posted a short on that on our channel when that happened. There's Rocky Top pitching, and then there's finding out who their ace is going to be before he's officially their ace in 2026, which is what you did there. Don't be shocked if this kid goes like 3rd or 4th overall. If he has the season he's supposed to, the polished repertoire and just the reputation that Tennessee's built over the last couple of years. I think we all went with like blue chip programs too, which I like, right? If you're getting into this channel and this is your introduction to college baseball, or if you've known it for a while, I mean, Florida, Louisville, especially Tennessee as of late. Obviously, LSU is going to be up there. You've got Roch Cholowsky over at UCLA. They're a preseason top 25 team.
Vanderbilt, of
course. Vanderbilt, of course.
The Vandy boys.
For a while, right. The Commodores. So, yeah, let us know if there's any players or teams you want us to focus on. We're really going to be ramping up here as non-conference play starts like a week from now. Super, super excited for the beginning of that. I think that's it. Got the Super Bowl coming up. Any big picks? I know you guys are going to like your respective gatherings and stuff. I'm going Patriots, I think. They had a tough 5 years. Yeah, really, really think they should. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Complete
boo-hoo.
joke.
Boo-hoo.
Oh. Sammy D is playing the best football of his life.
That'd be a good
Seahawks
story.
by 40, and the coin flip is tails. It will be tails.
Jacob, where does your
Blue
allegiance go
Gateway?
here? You got to be going Seahawks too.
I'm going Seahawks. Yeah, I'm going Seahawks. They get some revenge for that interception. We should have run the ball. They will get revenge this time around.
Marshawn Lynch is going to be smiling somewhere, and Malcolm Butler is going to be like, "Oh, just put me out there and I'll camp and pick you off at the goal line." Awesome. That's gonna do it for us. I think the country is looking for the Seahawks to pull it out. I know the Patriots that kind of had their reign of terror for the last 2.5 decades. Thank you so much for listening as we wrap up a baseball episode with a little bit of football. Trade deadline stuff as that comes in the middle of the season, trades that happen in the off season, college baseball opening up here. Anything you want us to cover under those umbrellas, we are going to do it. This is Minor League Weekly on the Minor League Minute YouTube channel. We will catch you next week. Starts somewhere, and in baseball, that somewhere is the minors. The breakout stars,
Early on in day 3 of the draft, the Pirates called.
the wild moments, and the prospects you need to know about.
A sub-3 ERA in both single and double A.
This is Minor League Weekly, your inside look at the future of the game.